and I ended up in jail with like $100,000 bail in New Jersey in uh, end of 1998 and into 1999, and at $100,000 bail, I was working at Sears and lost my job. I was going to a community college for liberal arts because I didn't quite know what to do, but I love writing graffiti. And I did a lot of it, and I got arrested under the suspicion that I did it. I was never caught in the act. And when I was sitting there in jail, I was in a special pod in that jail that it was a high bail. Because I had a high bail, they put me in with murderers, attempted murders, high profile crimes, high bails. They all kind of were in this special place. So like there was this one guy that execution style murdered this one dude for his gold chain in front of his girlfriend, and he was serving us food. And then there was this other guy that was like a rapist, and then there was this other guy that I shared a cell with. So all the drugs in the pod, and he was getting it from a CO through Little Debbie's snack cake cartons, and he was getting cash from these people, which they were smuggling in too. And he started managing me how to do handkerchiefs and write birthday cards for inmates and get commissary and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't belong there. I was painting graffiti, like I was trying to figure myself out. I grew up broken. I grew up displaced, and the guy in my cell, he arm robbed like 8 banks between New York and New Jersey. And he said the key to not getting caught is to smear lemon juice on your face before you go into the bank because it distorts your face on camera.
No way.
But he was there, he was doing his thing. He was a real nice guy. I learned a lot. But it was while I was in there that I had to make a decision about graffiti, like my family and all them. They would say, when are you going to grow up? You're addicted. Graffiti is an addiction. Graffiti's not art. You need to do this type of thing in order for it to be considered art. You're wasting your talent. You're wasting your time. Look at what you're doing to your life. And I was sitting there in that time. I turned 19 during that time. And I made a decision. I said, I just sat with myself in this. It's like you go to sleep. I don't know if you've ever been in jail, but you go to sleep at night. When you wake up, you're waking back up into the world, and you look around and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm in jail. Like you just take a vacation from it for a while by going to sleep, and you wake up, you realize you're back in jail. I had an epiphany that what I was so connected to was not an addiction. It was a passion, that I should feel so fortunate to have something like this in my life. And that maybe the problem is that I'm rejecting it. And if I can sort of bring this sort of passion into my life all the time, under whatever level of comfort I desire, well, then I'm living my best life. And I came out okay with the idea to make art, to earn a living. I accepted graffiti, what I was doing, as art. Mm-hmm. And to do that, I was accepting a major part of myself. Because I feel like there's just something in there when we deny that creative aspect of graffiti, we're denying a part of ourselves at the same time. So I let go of that, and I put me on a path of not apologizing for who I am, and that's a big one. Yeah. Even me sitting here showing my face and all that kind of stuff, I ain't no Rico Suave looking motherfucker, but it is what it is. It's a lot more inconvenient for me to put on a mask. I'm not going to censor who I am for other people. If they don't approve, that's cool. I'm fine. I'm learning to be comfortable in my skin, tuned into whatever radio station suits me at the time. I have a very eclectic taste in music, and I'm not bound to the radio anymore. I have Spotify, and I'm down with Spotify. I make playlists for when I'm painting in the studio, hanging out with my friends, and we just can't listen to one genre. We just can't listen to one. Yeah. We just can't eat one type of food. You ever meet those dudes that they only eat one sort of particular cuisine and that's it? Mm-hmm. That's fine. For some people it works, but for me, I'm a free bird, man. I like to go through those shifts day to day. Did I answer the question? I don't know if I
don't
went off
remember
topic.
what the question was, but
I think it was answered perfectly.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Graffiti is a wonderful one too. You know, I love like to answer just to chuck in a question about graffiti is like how do I find peace in writing in places where I'm not supposed to, painting in places where I'm not supposed to. I don't know. You just kind of figure out a balance. You know, a lot of times there's something that I might have written on a few years ago that I might not now. I have a little bit of compassion for things. I tend to not write on things if it's like if I could tell somebody just buffed their truck.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I'd like to, but nah, maybe I'll just let that slide. You could tell these people who are just desperately trying to keep their shit clean. You know, but I love it. I really do think that the world needs. That humanity needs graffiti. It's been an essential part of who we are in understanding ourselves. It is a written record to understand cultures far removed. We know about the humans that were in caves based off of what they did to mark their space, or in pyramids or temples or whatever it may be. We know about, you know, the 1600s through paintings, through sculpture, you know. So, yeah, I see graffiti as being a very important thing. And if I could just inject one more thing,
yeah, dude, of course.
and I'll say that. So where I'm at now, just to be transparent, is I've really come into channeling. I understand that just being an artist, that you're already doing it. You're already connecting to something. And if you lose yourself in that, you're stepping outside of yourself and you bring something in that's surprising to others and to yourself at the same time. You're like, oh shit, you just bump into things. You know, I feel that, you know, I started writing graffiti in 1991, and it's this practice sometimes where you're painting in the dark, low lit situations where you can't tell one color from the next. You're painting in uncomfortable places, whether it be weather-wise or maybe you're standing on a ledge, or you're painting under pressure with people looking at you or having to rush out, or dealing with potentially dying, stepping on a third rail, or any of these kind of things that we're thrilled by. But being able to create in a confident way under pressure, it helped me to be able to channel. So like if I go into a deep meditation within myself and I can sort of slip into that in-between space where I'm half here and half not, and I fall into that imagination rhythm, and I feel like there's something coming through or being said to me, or an idea that just sort of comes in like in a snap, that I could hold it, that I could sort of stay in that difficult place for a while, or that weird place for a while, and work with it and just sort of bring it in. So like when I will go and sit in, say, a medicine ceremony, like on New Year's, I was sitting doing ayahuasca in the dark. Is completely, there was just a little, you know, we were in a yurt and there was just a little window at the top, and it's tremendously hard to see. And you're in the most deepest of connections to the earth itself through the spirit of these plants. But I'm able to hold that state. You know, I'm able to sort of be uncomfortable in the dark and bring something through that comes out seamlessly without a pencil or without me pondering it. I feel like a stenographer. I feel like it's just coming through me, and I just let go of my sense of self, and it's just spelled out for me. And what comes out are these understandings, and a lot of them are rooted in universal truth. And I'm not, you know, I'm just me, I'm just Joseph and all that kind of stuff. I pull from it, I grow from it, I learn from it, and it's fun. It's like, oh wow, that's kind of out there. It's thrilling, like graffiti, you know, to be able to, you know, like the magic of painting something at night is fully realized when you return to it the following day. Like if you painted like a really dark underpass and you couldn't see shit, and then you come back and you could see red is red, and this thing, and you miss this fill or that fill, the magic is there. And it's like, how far can I go in a difficult circumstance?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, with all this stuff, I do believe that channeling is possible, and graffiti was my training to be able to work in difficult states.